The thing about bungee jumping is that it's marketed as and has a perception of being extreme and dangerous, and I guess it's probably the furthest thing from the truth in terms of safety. The reality of the record of bungee jumping in New Zealand is that it is probably one of the safest outdoor activities in New Zealand, and its record speaks for itself. But this hasn't come about lightly. The bungee jumping code of practice to which we subscribe is a large and weighty document, but it imposes significant safety requirements on us, which we embrace because we don't want anything to happen. That code of practice, which is a voluntary practice, means that we have actually subscribed to the New Zealand Standard. The consequence of that is that we are audited by Bureau Veritas every year. We're audited by Qualmark every year. We are audited by OSH every year. We have structural, mechanical, electrical engineer reviews every year. So we are conscious of being audited from the outside rather than doing our own internal audits. We do audit internally as well, and that generally just supports everything else that's done externally.
The code of practice is the basis, and then our site manual on a daily, our own working document, which reflects the code of practice and its minimum standard. So a lot of our standards might be higher than what was written in the code of practice, but it gives you a guideline, it gives you a basis, and for a lot of outside industry, the bungee code of practice is basically where they're all starting now in terms of rafting, commercial climbing and all that type of stuff. There's a good basis there that's already written down, that's got now 15 years of history behind it. So people can go in and find a good start point, and then they can relate it back to their industry. It might not reflect exactly, but there'll be some really good helpful things in there, especially with time management, managing people, tracking of equipment, how you're using it, where you're using it, its lifetime, its expectancy, all its minimums. So it gives you a good basis to start from. I work very closely with the staff. I'm still active in the roles that we perform on a daily basis, so I'm working with the guys every day. Still working as a jump master, still working on crew and still working in the boat. So I'm working with all the staff over a period of a week on any given day. We have debriefing sessions after a day's end, which will highlight anything during the day that's important or anything that's coming up during the week. In terms of their own progress, we're always sitting down and talking to them about where they're going, how they see themselves, where they're going in the future. We're doing performance assessments every 6 months, so we're getting good communication back from where they see themselves and also what we can pass on to them, and looking at them in that direction. For us, in terms of equipment, it's pretty much the main part of the business itself, because you're using equipment on a daily basis that's important to what we're doing. So right from the start, it comes down to who we use as suppliers, where we're getting our equipment from. Also what sort of certification can be provided with that equipment. If it hasn't got the right certification, then we don't use those types that supplier for that reason. So there's some value in what we're buying. We know that there's a standard that accommodates that piece of equipment. When it arrives on site, we've got a process to where it goes, so we put it in confinement until all the right certification arrives with that piece of equipment. It then gets ID'd straight away, and then we log it into a storeroom where it's left in confinement until it's put into service. Then it's being tracked with a equipment management program, so it's telling us its lifespan from the time it's gone into service until the time it's required to come out, and we're working within a third of its actual lifespan, so it's well within its normal lifespan in any other condition. And then we change it out, and then from there it's put into another, it's isolated and destroyed appropriately. A jump master goes through probably a 2-year process where they're working from the office through to recovery of people in the boat area to working onto the platform, and they'll go through the jump operator position first, which will help them when they progress into the jump master position. And then from there, once they've got their allotted hours, so we're working in 1,000 jumps that they've processed in each area, plus making sure that their performance has been up to a standard, they'll be nominated and put forward to sit the Jump Master registration process, which is an exam which takes approximately 3 or 4 hours, which is fairly in depth. There's an oral section to that, which is based around the actual site they're working on and the procedures and the processes that are in place on that particular site. There's also a written exam in that process, and that's based around the code of practice, so you're getting a good understanding of what's required for that position. And they also have 2 separate examiners that will come on site. One's based in the actual industry, and the other one's an outsider who works on behalf of Bureau Veritas, who has an educational background and sets the exam itself. And then they'll come onto the site, they'll go through the written and the oral exam, and then they'll have a look at their actual practical side out on the deck as they're processing people and performing the actual jump. Near misses and incidents, we log down straight away. That process comes back to a logging form, so staff are made aware of how to process those log forms. Also the senior staff, in terms of the Jump Master's responsibility to ensure that the other staff have filled out those forms on our behalf. Those get logged with the operations manager, and then we follow a process to eliminating or finding out the root cause of what created the incident in the first place. From there we make changes to the process if it's required, and then from that point, if it's a major change in process, then we will sit down as a group, go through the incident again, get some feedback from the other staff in terms of what they think should happen as well, and then we'll make changes as it suits from that point on.
I guess it starts first off by us identifying what sort of incidents or crises we could have on site and developing procedures, drills and training methods for people to be aware of that and to be practiced in dealing with those sort of events. Consequently, our training regime involves a lot of simulated rescue drills. As a general rule, any incidents, minor or small, are reported on and documented as they happen, and are discussed at monthly management meetings. Solutions, recommendations are made as to what to do to stop it from happening again, or if in fact it was a one-off incident. In general, any incident on site would be handled by the crew themselves with reference to the ops manager, who would, as a rule, let me know what's going on. Standard policy is no comment to the media from any of our crew, and if there was any requirement for media reporting, then I would make a statement to the media. One of the key objectives and long-term strategies of our business is continuous improvement, and that applies to everything from our safety, to our products, to our brand, to our marketing, to our identity. The key components is safety, and our senior crew and management spend some time every year away on latest code of practice type courses. The most recent one, I guess, was an industrial abseil course, which related to the most recent standard of industrial abseiling. That led to some changes in our business to what we did in terms of crew harnessing, and it's our intention to stay always ahead of the game, or at least current with the existing industry practices.